Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's 1 million by 1 million strategy roundtable for entrepreneurs. 1M by 1M, as you know, is the first and only global virtual accelerator in the world. Our mission is to help 1 million entrepreneurs reach $1 million and beyond in annual revenue. In support of that mission, we do these roundtables. We've been doing it for years. We started in 2008 with an experiment that then blossomed into the full-fledged 1M by 1M program. And now, of course, in the post-COVID era, everybody is doing everything virtual, but we were way, way, way before any of this. The event is being recorded. Every single recording of our prior roundtables are available on the YouTube channel, 1M1M Roundtables. On Twitter, we're at 1M by 1M and at Romana. And today's hashtag is 1M1M. We publish a lot. You're welcome to follow that. These are the call-in instructions. Your computer audio should also work. So either you can dial in or you can just use your computer audio. It doesn't matter. We are going to start today's session with a conversation with Max Brickman, founder at Heartland Ventures. Max, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
So Max, let's start with a little bit of introduction about your background. Let's get acquainted.
Sure, absolutely. Happy to go as in depth as you'd like me to, but I'm from Wisconsin originally, in the Midwest. Kind of got started in the entrepreneurial space early on. I bought my first property when I was like 14 in northern Wisconsin. So just, I guess, money from a landscaping company that I had that one of our clients or one of our accounts in the landscaping company was getting ready to sell their property. And so we were going to lose an account. And so I kind of foolishly raised my hand and said, like, well, what if we were to buy it? And was able to work something out to buy that, and was able to fix it up and rent it out and build that to about 450 units for high school and college. And had a education startup that ultimately we licensed out, and then found myself in South Bend, Indiana, a small city of about 100,000 people. Notre Dame's there, but it's sort of it's a smaller city outside of that. Traditionally, kind of what people would classify as like a Rust Belt town. I was there because my wife was going to grad school there, and didn't really know anyone in the community, and candidly kind of went in and tried to make the most of the situation, and ended up falling in love with the city and seeing that you don't have a lot of technology companies that are based there, at least at the time. There's definitely more now. Mm-hmm. But what you do have a lot of are these family businesses, these companies that are doing 100 million, $1 billion in revenue, that are in manufacturing and logistics and construction, that are huge consumers of technology, and are sharp folks, but sort of fly under the radar because of where they're located.
Yeah.
And so I built the fund really around those people, and these owners of these billion-dollar companies that no one's ever heard of, because those are the users of a lot of the technologies that are being developed. Mm. And so fast forward, I built Heartland. We're about 100 million under management now, raised pretty much just exclusively from around 100 of these family businesses. And so by having these companies invested in us, as opposed to a pension or endowment, we can look at a technology, and this really drives what we look at. We can look at a technology, we can do the diligence ourselves, but then take it to the customer, our investor, say, hey, is this something you all would actually use? Would you become a customer of this? Is there an ROI? And if there is, then de-risks product market fit for us. It becomes helpful for the startup of getting early customers. The RLP is getting a technology that can help their core business, and so it really is built around those aligned incentives of bringing everybody together.
Very interesting. Now,
yeah.
What sector of technology companies are you looking? Is it all B2B SaaS then?
Yeah, it's all B2B SaaS, really driven by who our investors are, and mm-hmm. So technologies that can sell into manufacturing, logistics, construction. HR is a bit of a catch-all because that can sell into really any of them, but anything where we can really provide value.
And stage-wise, do you do seed, pre-seed, or Series A? What are you doing?
Seed and A. So kind of in that area where at least we believe it's most valuable to have those early customer introductions, where there is a product that's developed, but where you don't already have customer validation necessarily completely figured out where we can be supportive with that.
So you would take a product company that doesn't have customers yet and bring them into your customer base.
Possibly, if they're sort of at that inflection point of finalizing the product, maybe they only have a few customers or just some pilot customers, and we can introduce them to our network.
Yeah.
If our network is excited to become a customer, then that's where we would want to invest, because we can help them get to that next, jump from that seed to A phase.
And do the companies have to be also from the area, or can they from anywhere?
Not at all, anywhere. Actually, most of our investments have been on the coast, a couple international, and a few in the Midwest as well. But we want to act as that connector between tech hubs around the country and candidly around the world, and the industrial Midwest. All of these very large, producers in this part of the country.
Let's do some examples of companies that you have invested in, especially where you have brought them into your customers very early on. So ideally seed.
Yeah, absolutely. So a good example would be Workstream. We were one of the early investors in their seed round. Desmond Lim, a Singaporean founder who moved to the US and started a company that targets the HR space, hiring hourly employees. And one of his other investors contacted us and said, "Hey, you should talk to the Heartland folks. They know a lot of our employers of companies that have a lot of hourly employees." And so we met Desmond and obviously loved him and were really impressed with what he was building. But we wanted to introduce him to our network and see if other people agreed. So we flew him out to South Bend, and we connected him to, I think it was like 13 of our investors who own manufacturing companies. I think he left that trip with 11 signed contracts.
Oh, wow.
So we hadn't even invested yet, and he just showed his ability to prove value. And it was just incredible. And so we invested, and fast forward, he raised his Series A from Founders Fund. Kiefer Boyd joined his board. His Series B from Bond & Co. 2 at obviously a much higher valuation, but continues to do a lot of work in the Midwest and that.
No, I think customer introductions are incredibly valuable. So if an investor comes with customer introductions, I think that's a very differentiated value proposition. Well done.
That's what we hope to bring and what we're built to bring.
Now, how do you view this unicorn obsession of our industry?
Yeah, I guess it's kind of a necessary obsession in a weird way because of the risk profile in venture, because of the failure rate that exists. As a VC, you really do need those wins, those big wins, to offset the zeros that are inevitable in this area.
Not so if you're a small fund. That's a very large fund, yes. If you're a small fund, no.
Yes and no. You don't necessarily need a $1 billion exit, but you do need depends where you come in, but you do need large exit, where if you make 10 investments and 4 of them go to zero, you need it has to work out where you have a 10x or 20x that then offsets those zeros, plus then returns your fees and
10x to 20x. But these micro VCs that are operating with 10 million, 15 million, even up to $50 million funds, they don't necessarily need unicorn exits to do 10x.
I guess it depends where they're coming in. If they're coming in at the
definition of the micro VCs is that they're coming in very early. And
sure.
So this is actually, it's an interesting, this discussion has gone on in these forums for many, many years now. And there is a distinct evolution that I have observed over time. The more money you raise, the higher the bar goes on exit. How many IPOs do happen? How many unicorn acquisitions happen? So the more money you raise, the higher the exit price and the lower the probability of you getting such an exit. But if you look at the number of VCs operating in our industry today, it's humongous. All these people who used to write angel checks have formed micro VCs. I mean, all, but a lot of them. So the number of micro VCs has ballooned. Probably the number of Series A and beyond VCs has not ballooned. That remains more steady. But the low end of the business has ballooned, and there is also a good understanding now that bulk of the acquisitions happen in the sub $50 million range. So how do you make a sub $50 million exit work, and how do you get a 5x, 10x from a sub $50 million exit? This is a conversation that I've had with a number of these small VCs. Your fund is $100 million, so it's getting more into the territory of the traditional VC scale. But I think the ones who are operating in the sub $50 million fund size, and many of them in the 25 million or below fund size, are thinking somewhat differently than the pure unicorn chasing VCs.
I tend to agree. I mean, I guess there's definitely a lot of opportunity for creativity in the venture space. More on the, I'm talking about for the VCs. Not obviously there's a ton of innovation on the startup side, but to really be able to innovate and model in model types to figure out ways to make it work, to be able to get in. If you're betting on the fact that you're going to have a lot of $50 million exits, you need to get in early.
Yes.
But if you can build a model around that and
you have to build around very capital efficient principles also.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what about companies in the Midwest? Do you have in your portfolio? Do you have companies, interesting companies in your from the Midwest?
Absolutely, we have a couple. One, Clara, Katie Hall, the founder, MIT grad, but came back to Michigan and is targeting the HR space of basically competency-based evaluation of your current workforce. Mm-hmm. And so, she moved back in part because, again, this is where their customers are. There's a ton of, when you look at a map of Fortune 1000 companies, like they're predominantly in the Midwest and in the Heartland. They're obviously on the coast as well, but many more than you would expect, despite all of the venture funding and all of the venture startups being predominantly on the coast. So I think there's kind of an unfair advantage that a lot of these companies have by being in the Midwest, because you're just one of fewer, and you're going to get more attention, you're going to get more feedback, your customers are going to just be more interested. And so we're seeing it more and more. And beyond just looking at companies that we're investing in, we're seeing more and more of companies we've invested in that are relocating here or expanding, setting up secondary operations here. Yes, it's a lot less expensive than the coast, but again, to be close to their customers.
And how many, let's say, how many SaaS companies are headquartered in the Midwest or have second operations in the Midwest right now for these reasons?
I don't have exact numbers, but I mean, in Columbus, I feel like it's a daily occurrence that we're seeing companies either relocating or setting up operations here. I mean, there have been some pretty big exits in Columbus from, Cover My Meds. I guess Root Insurance has kind of come down a little bit since, but is here. There's a lot of big wins in Indianapolis. You have Exact Target sold to Salesforce. You have a lot of multi-billion-dollar exits that have occurred here, and that's starting to lead to more and more based here.
Are we talking thousands of companies? Are we talking hundreds of companies? What are we talking?
That are based here?
Yeah, Midwest.
Definitely in the thousands. I mean, you have the Midwest. I mean, exact numbers. I mean, but you're talking hundreds of millions of people. In the
and great universities, big universities. So the part of a lot of people end up staying close to their universities when they come out, and if there are opportunities within the universities, the career development officers work well with the universities and so on.
Absolutely. And when you think about the largest universities in the country, OSU has 50,000 plus students. Michigan, you probably don't like me using those two schools in the same sentence as being rivals, but 40, 50,000 students. I mean, you have these massive schools that are terrific schools. The ability to hire, and that's why Intel is getting ready to spend $10 billion on I think one of the largest public-private projects in U.S. history, just outside of Columbus. They're going to be hiring 10,000 people, in part because of the talent pool that exists here.
Very interesting. What is your relationship with the universities in the area, and how are the universities playing? Like, if you look at the history of Silicon Valley, Stanford has played a very dominant role. At the in the Boston area, MIT has played that role, although Boston never became that big a hub to the extent that Silicon Valley became, but it's a very, very successful ecosystem. Boston has always been a very successful ecosystem around MIT. What is the equivalent of that effort in the Midwest right now?
Yeah, I think, OSU's, engineering program has more students than Yale, total. I mean, so the scale of these schools are just significantly larger than others, and so you have that scale benefit. There's certainly more that a lot of these schools can do on the commercialization side. That said, there have been some pretty major companies that have come out of that, particularly on the healthcare. I think we're seeing a lot more on, I think the Wexner Medical Center, the hospital system's affiliated with OSU, is like $7 billion in revenue, and I think it's like $1 billion in research funding and grants per year. I mean, these are massive programs that are churning out innovation and research at a very, very, very large scale. And so, particularly on the healthcare and life sciences side, it's some of the top in the world. I think the new cancer center here is going to be the second largest in the country. So just the scale of some of the things that are happening here is pretty incredible, and that's through the universities in large part.
Interesting, very interesting. Silicon Valley's cost structure is just not sustainable for most companies. So even if you want to have a headquarter in Silicon Valley, the bulk of the hiring is not happening in Silicon Valley anymore. So it's happening somewhere else, and the Midwest is one of the places where India is happening a lot in India also, but it's happening somewhere else for sure.
Yeah, it's a fraction of the cost, and you have major pipelines of talent that's just being pumped out. That's coming out of these great schools. You have you can. I was in San Francisco yesterday. I mean, you can. There's nonstop flights. All the you can get there as you need.
Yeah, very good. Well, we're gonna talk to some entrepreneurs. Are you staying for the entrepreneur discussions?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go there. I'm going to set some expectations, folks, for those of you who are pitching today or at a later session. Remember, this is a safe working session. You don't need to be defensive. This is not Shark Tank. We're not trying to entertain people by being snarky gratuitously. So this is just brainstorming about your strategy and how you can accelerate. You can disagree. It's your venture. You can do whatever you want. Just listen, process, and feedback that you get here from me and from my guests usually is experience feedback. So it's worth listening to, worth considering, worth doing something with. We're going to start with Philip Jockel in Germany. Philip, please unmute your line and tell us what LIVID phygital selling is. Phygital, it's an interesting word.
So, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, brilliant. Hi, everyone. Excited to be here. Can't talk about much about the Midwest. So I'm in Germany. Actually, I'm Matthias. Philip is my colleague who actually wanted to give that presentation. Short term, couldn't do it, asked me to do it. So I stopped my car. I'm sitting in my car giving you the presentation. I hope it's all right. We're both working, on the same management team. So it should be okay. Great. So I'm Matthias, but if you like, call me Philip. I'll listen to whatever you say, right? Well, starting, phygital selling. Yeah, don't know whether we invented the word, but it's physical and digital, and this is already in the core of our product. So if you, the problem we're solving is we were looking into e-commerce and everybody's selling direct, everybody's selling online. And when it seems to be working fine for commodity goods and there's nothing to even talk about. Is there room for innovation? Well, there is, because we looked into the market for high involvement products. Now, what is that? Take automotive, take cars, take agri-tech, take medtech, take either expensive or complex products. Now, all of a sudden, this selling direct doesn't work anymore. More than 70% of all the shopping carts are being abandoned, and that's a lot of money, not just the sheer 70%, but the size of that shopping basket. And we were doing research on, what's the reason behind it, and we came out with a very simple truth. The single most important reason for customers not to buy, not to click that final button saying, yeah, or, put in my cart now and go to the checkout, is like a trust. And trust, we could even specify that. Funny enough, it was the trust in your own decision. So these potential customers abandoned their shopping cart because they didn't know whether they were really equipped for it, whether they had all the information at their hand, and they weren't, there was nothing they could go back to and reassure and reaffirm that decision. To us, it was very simple. The solution is, well, add trust to that digital customer journey, and the best thing that really creates trust is the human being. And what seemed to be a contradiction of, hey, we're all on the path of digitalizing the world, all of a sudden these LIVID guys come here and they introduce or reintroduce the human being into a digital process. Well, on tickets we're talking about here, it absolutely makes the difference, because all of a sudden websites convert, shops do work, and people buy more. More people buy more products digitally. So what we've built is a live shopping platform, and we add the human being into it as a shop assistant, but a digital, a real assistant in a digital world, and we enhance products and the environment with augmented reality features, because presenting a real product with a real human being is something that is a very, very strong proposition. However, you want to, you still want to be able to give the full experience and to, customize the products on the fly. So that's our product. The market we're targeting. High involvement goods, I don't want to go all through them because I mentioned them already. High tickets or high involvement in terms of, things you love, things you want to have, and that's exactly what we're targeting. Automotive is our very first vertical where we've got traction, and this is currently what we concentrate our sales activities on. So you want to when you look at this market, and we were trying to size the market, and I think we're fairly conservatively. At the end of the day, our SOM, we value at round about 1.5 billion. Well, take dollars, take euros, we're pretty much the same. Basically what we've done is every retail store and every direct selling company in this world carrying these products times our average platform fee, and this is how we got to that evaluation.
What is your average platform fee?
Starting from 2,400 per month. So as you can already see, this is nothing for the small, private shop seller.
Hold on. I have a question.
Yes,
so
sure.
2,400 platform fee.
Yeah.
Now, does every single object, item, SKU, that gets sold on the platform have to be photographed and rendered in your
no, well, first of all, it's live video, so you don't have to photograph anything. Everything you got on your hand, everything that is on an existing retail store, you can share that. Everything that might not be, might not surround you. Like, take an example, you're in a car dealership. You've only got, I don't know, 20 models on display. What about the 21st that you're really interested in? But first of all, you reach out into your network. Somebody else might have it, and you can see that in our system. And if not, we render it digitally, and then the real person is actually showing you digital product, a digital image of the product.
But how do you render the object digitally? What input goes into rendering something digitally? My question really is that the platform cost, we've had a company like this in our portfolio a few years ago. And they positioned on real estate and real estate selling. So the question though is that it's not just the platform cost. There is a significant overhead and on creating the assets that
Yep.
allow you to use a platform like
Yep.
this or this
Yep.
kind of selling.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely right. And already, again, I can give you the example of our first big client, which is Hyundai in Germany. They give us access to their production data. So, and what we do, so we've got the rendering engine. We read and receive the production data of their cars, and we render them in real time, and then we can present these products if that product is not where we are at the moment. So that asset and that digital asset is already available. All we need to do is just read it, transform it, and present it back or live stream it.
So cars is actually an interesting industry for you to sell into because it's not that many SKUs. It's a small number of SKUs. That production data is available digitally and you render it. It's a very high ticket item, so it's worthwhile for doing all of that work. How big a business can you build just on the car industry?
The car, well, when I valued our business, when I said 1.5 billion is out there that we can obtain, cars are probably 25% of that.
25, that is cars.
So yeah, and the time is moving towards us because we've got more and more market entrants into the market, especially coming from the Far East, China, Vietnam. VinFast is one of our clients, from Vietnam, introducing cars. They've never built any cars so far. They're introducing it to them. They don't even have to build a retail network anymore. So the cost savings is a huge benefit for their business case using our platform.
So your pitch is that they can sell cars direct from.
Well, it's twofold. With the new market entrants, our pitch is, you sell them direct, and they all go into direct selling. And the other ones are the traditional ones who actually run prohibitively expensive showrooms and retail networks. And to them, our pitch is you can reduce them. You need just a couple of regional showrooms where you service the market, so at the end of the day, it's for our clients, it's a big savings business.
Mm-hmm. Max, do you want to comment on this business?
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. We do a lot in the RV industry. I'm curious if you guys have looked into that space as well.
The RV, you mean? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. When we say, it's mobility as a whole, right? It's cars today. It's special purpose vehicles. It's agri-tech, like, we were talking to Mahindra, one of the largest manufacturers in India. Huge distances. You can't have retail stores everywhere. So yes, RV definitely, tractors and machinery there. Everything that is specific, where you can't even afford having retail stores or showrooms across the country or a market.
Absolutely, I imagine that expands the market quite a bit.
Yeah.
And have you raised the 1.5 million seed, or are you raising? You're raising?
No, we're raising. This is what we're looking at.
Okay. All right. Well, I like what you're doing. I think so there's some amount of conversation to be had about what is the exact TAM for this. I think looks like you're getting traction in the car industry for good reasons. Now, how beyond the car industry, where else does the unit economic line up?
Yeah, very, very, very funny. You mentioned another company trying that a couple of years ago in the real estate. We just won a client in the commercial real estate arena.
Yeah.
So that's a real estate is something that we haven't thought about it really, to be honest. But so somebody threw that client against us, and we said, well, great. So we're setting it up as we speak. And And of course, I mean, you're absolutely right. You know, we don't want to be a one sector. We are a one product company, but we don't want to remain a one sector company.
Yeah.
So we will move beyond the mobility sector.
Yeah.
Currently, since, you know, we're bootstrapping on one hand side, you know, looking for money on the other hand. So we're just looking for the low-hanging fruits. And since we're really, really well connected in the automotive industry, so the industry is great for us. We know a lot of people there, and that's why we get traction. But you know, once this is the robust business, we immediately move on to the next sector.
I'll explain. I assume since you're here, you want to talk about how to raise money through us. I will explain towards the end of the program after I listen to all the pitches.
Absolutely. Brilliant.
1 second. Where is the beginning? Here. Nick Lopez, Prosal. Nick?
Hey everyone, thanks for having me. How you guys doing today?
Good. Where are you dialing from, Nick?
Yeah, I'm calling in from Miami, Florida right now. Just at home for a couple of weeks visiting family, and then I'll be back in San Jose, California starting on Tuesday.
Okay. What is Prosal?
Yeah, so I actually have a full pitch ready for y'all. I don't want to give anything away here at the beginning. Just want to first of all thank everybody for giving me the time to present Prosal. I'm Nick, CEO and co-founder, and I please humbly ask that questions are saved until the end of the presentation. Happy to answer them then if that's all right.
Go ahead.
Great. So next slide, please. So between the McKinseys of the world and the freelancers are this massive landscape of SMB professional services consultancies. And this market is growing. The current AI revolution, plus the development of remote work, have lowered the barrier to entry for freelancers to grow their own consultancy. And the nichification of the knowledge economy, it's only accelerating the creation of specialized firms. They grow initially through referrals, but soon reach a ceiling because referrals are sporadic. And so to scale, they must seek other answers. Next slide, please. The answer for a lot of companies is RFPs, or requests for proposals, which are basically shovel-ready projects that are made publicly available by municipalities, federal agencies, and nonprofits. Next slide. But as most people agree, RFPs suck. They're hard to find, they take a long time to qualify and to respond to, and for these consultancies, time is money. And so SMB consultancies don't have the capacity to waste non-billable hours on fruitless RFPs. Well, fortunately for them, they now have Prosal. Next. Prosal is an RFP marketplace and business development secret weapon. We make it easy and fun for SMBs to find, qualify, and win new business through RFPs. By aggregating good RFPs and extracting key details, Prosal saves users time finding and qualifying RFPs, giving them back the time to write better, more targeted proposals, improving win rates. Next. Or previous, please. Yes, next slide. Sorry about that. We're leveraging AI to sift through the vast sea of public procurement opportunities internationally to identify best fit project matches for professional services businesses of all sizes. And we're taking it a step further. Prosal will use your company assets to generate and submit proposals on your behalf. And when there's a gap in your skill set, Prosal matches you with another complementary firm. The result is a platform that competes for public contracts on your behalf without the bureaucratic hassle. Business development automated. And we're well on our way. Since launching our paid model in January of this year, next slide, we've grown from $156 in MRR to 13.5K in MRR and growing. By targeting small to medium-sized US-based professional services consultancies with between 5 and 75 employees, we've grown to 1,800 businesses on platforms since launch. We make money through a freemium model, allowing basic access on the free plan and advanced tooling with better opportunities on the paid plan. We're growing our bottom line with customer-requested seat-based pricing by the end of this year. Next slide. And our users love us because we understand them. For the majority of them, the RFP is a growth instrument. It's a tool to scale beyond geographically dependent referral networks and to nationalize their presence. But for others, it's a market research tool helping them make their offerings a bit more competitive. But for our 40% women and BIPOC owned consultancies, the RFP levels the playing field. It's a way to get their foot in the door with new projects because they've been traditionally excluded from referral networks. Next. And what differentiates us from competitors is that we actually help them win RFPs. And we're focused on the service provider side of the RFP rather than RFP hosting and management for the service seeker. Next. Our user love leads to organic referrals, which drives the majority of our growth. And we've intentionally built virality into our user experience by making it easy to share Prosal opportunities with friends and even easier to start competing for RFPs through our freemium model. Next. And our acquisition strategy has made us capital efficient. We took a 100K investment from Techstars in September of last year and used 65K of it to generate 152K in annual recurring revenue and reach cash flow positive in just 6 months. Next. Starting with SMB professional services consultancies was the perfect wedge. Good RFP opportunities, while hard to find, are made publicly available, but they're fragmented. And so by doing the hard work of finding and summarizing the opportunities, we've created a pipeline of niche project data that's hard to find elsewhere. Next. And we're the perfect team to solve this problem. I'm Nick, and my background is in mathematics and as an electromechanical design engineer for hypersonic missiles. My two co-founders, Alfredo and Niall, are equally as impressive. Alfredo is the de facto customer who's already founded a successful consultancy in the space we're serving. And Niall is our computer wizard and AI assassin with a master's in machine learning who's won multiple AI competitions before AI was cool. We were friends first, and now we're 3 co-founders of Prosal on a mission to help our users win new business. Next. Prosal becomes your automated business development team, from finding new opportunities all the way to payments and invoicing. An end-to-end platform enabling consultancies to scale through RFPs. We're currently raising our seed round and already have 50% committed. We're using our raise to hire 2 full-time software engineers. Product-wise, we know what our customers need, and we're continuing to build it sequentially in a cost-efficient manner. Next. Thank you all so much for listening and happy to answer any questions. Next.
So, Nick, what's
Yes.
the business model? Is it pure SaaS or is it a SaaS-enabled marketplace?
Yeah, so right now, just because of operational constraints and being a small team, it is pure SaaS. What we're moving towards is success fee-based pricing, which we've already confirmed our customers want to pay. But in order for that to be the case, we need to control the payment flow. And so we're building our features in that direction as a wedge to, capture the payments.
So, but you do have a marketplace. You're not charging marketplace fees right now. You're only charging SaaS fees to the service providers. But you do have clients who are also on this platform.
Yeah, could you go back 1 slide so we could, I think that's a little bit better. So we have, the way we get the opportunities on platform is a combination of 2 things, right? We have clients that come and post their RFPs, and we basically scrape the World Wide Web for high quality opportunities. While we started our focus last year with trying to get the client side on platform, we realized that there was not a lot of urgency on that side. So we're fully focused on the SaaS portion of it, sort of like a market network. But when we raise, we will put more money into spreading out sort of the message of, hey, Prosal is a platform that you can use to run your RFP process. Does that answer your question?
Partially. So currently, where are you getting the RFPs from? Is it just internet scraping?
Yeah, so public sources and a combination of organic nonprofits that come to post their RFPs to find diverse vendors. Because of that.
If you scrape the internet, how much can you gather? Is there a lot? Are there a lot of RFPs available for public scraping?
There's
publicly available.
Yeah, so we estimate that there are, by our estimates, which are probably not very accurate, they're probably quite conservative, in just the marketing, IT, web development, and accounting space, there's about 80 to 100 posted per day. In the US alone, we haven't really reached the breadth of being able to capture all of that yet. So that's part of where our seed round is going, is to increase our scraping capacity and really internationalize the presence, because we realize that there's a bunch of procurement opportunities abroad, for example, in the UK, in Europe, that US firms qualify for, but they can't navigate sort of the compliance requirements. And so that's what Prosal is acting as.
And how much are people, the supply side, paying for the SaaS fee?
Yeah, so the current business model is $69 a month for the month to month and $59 a month if you subscribe for 6 months. The part of that money that we're raising is to develop seat-based pricing, which is what our customers have been asking us for and begging us for. They said, hey, we're willing to pay you more money, but we want to have more of our team on platform interacting with these RFPs.
And how many customers do you have right now?
So we currently have 204 paying customers.
And how are you acquiring them?
So we acquire them through twofold. So one is email outreach. The phase 0 of the funnel is we find the opportunities. We take those opportunities, figure out who would be a best match for them. We use lead generation tools to identify business development professionals, founders of these professional services consultancies, and we simply send them an email saying, hey, we think you'd be really good for this opportunity. And because we're a freemium model, they generally sign up. And if they do convert to a premium membership, it typically takes 29 days on average.
So 200 is free plus premium customers?
No, the free plus premium is 2,000.
2,000. Okay, so 10% conversion from free to premium.
Yes.
Good. That's pretty good. Okay, got it. So again, we will get to explaining how we work in a bit on the fundraising side. Shazeeye Kirmani, you are up next. You're in Menlo Park.
Hi, actually, Shazeeye Kirmani. I'm based out of Menlo Park and actually on AV Avenue, very near you, Shramana. We share a gardener, Keith Adams. That's how I got to know you.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I saw you next door, and one thing led to another. But yeah, here I am. Compared to the other two, this is very early stage. I do not have customers. It's still an idea. Just wanted to share this with you all and
No
get
problem.
some feedback. DreamJob.
This is
So,
the only place where you're not going to be scoffed for coming with an early stage, napkin stage business. We have no problem with any of that.
awesome.
Keep
Thanks.
going.
Yeah, next, please. So, the pitch here is DreamJob is targeted to American tech workers who are trying to upskill or reskill due to a changing tech environment. We've heard of the layoffs. We've heard of the new tech keeps changing. AI is the new thing. So to upskill, to reskill and upskill is the goal, with the end goal, of course, in using these new skills that have been acquired, that they get trained on to get their dream job. And this platform that we hope to build soon has many parts, and people can choose some or all parts. The first part, which is sort of the freemium model, is you upload your resume and you select a dream job, and the AI platform will identify your missing skills and tell you what you need to focus on to get the dream job. The second part, or the other part, is after the missing skills have been identified, there are experts on the platform who are going to use AI to help in training these candidates for the job. And they create a custom plan that is a combination of asynchronous and one-on-one online meeting training. So it's a combination of those, and there's an evaluation part that's also built in. How do we evaluate if you learn the skill? How far are you away from, are you 170% into acquiring the skill, or are you at 100%? Have you learned the new skill? So that's the part that's also going to be, there's an evaluation and there's the training aspect. And then the other aspect that we're also including in the platform is, of course, in job interview training and coaching. We want you, for this new skill that you want to learn, to get the job. I mean, that's the ultimate part. You have to land that job. So these experts will also be career coaches and help you with job interview training. And then, of course, it's quite an emotional journey. you may be mid-career, you're trying to get a new job, so you have access to a community to help with some of that empathy part, the emotional part of the journey, for guidance and, sharing your war stories. So that's the pitch. Next slide, please.
I already have a lot of thoughts. Go ahead, why don't you finish your pitch, then we can...
All right, sure. And you can ask me at any point. You don't have to wait to the end if you.
Let's stay actually with the first slide. How do you envision this? Like, what sector are we talking about? Are we talking about these high-end AI skills? Are we talking about elementary level AI skills? What are we talking about?
I actually had identified a few areas, verticals on maybe the third slide. Yeah, maybe, sorry, not this. Next slide, maybe. No, actually, let me just, if I don't cover your question, I'll answer it.
We'll finish your presentation.
Oh, yeah. Okay. The customer is the American tech worker who's trying to reskill or upskill due to a changing tech environment. Tech is changing, and the end goal, of course, is to get that dream job. And I've identified tech specifically to upskill and reskill. It is a lucrative market. It's a large market. It's the second largest, only behind healthcare in the US. And it's growing. It's got a lot of workers. I thought that we could start with a few areas initially to upskill and reskill: software development, AI, analytics, and cybersecurity and coding. I am new to this. I'm still figuring out, like for your question, Shramana, on is it low end, is it high end? I do not have an answer right now.
So let me give you some more color on the question. You don't have to answer the question, but take this question away and think about it. See, the issue is high-end AI skills are so much in demand, you will not be able to find people to do the training.
Okay.
Right. So you're going to have to work with what is available out there by way of training. So there are all kinds of MOOCs out there that have training. Okay. There is Coursera, there is Udemy, there is Udacity, there is edX, U2, etc., etc. There are all kinds of. There is what is the Pluralsight. These are the places where there is a lot of tech training available on different disciplines. So all these things that you're talking about, software development, artificial intelligence, on Udemy, 7.5 million people are learning machine learning skills. So Python programming and various kinds of, data, Python, machine learning type of stuff. So there is a lot of training happening as it is. There's a lot of training resources out there as it is. You can't put yourself in a position that you have to create matching resources on so many dimensions. That's just not doable at this point. And that kind of reinventing of the wheel is not necessary. So then comes the question, where are you going to add value?
Yeah.
So maybe there is a value in knowing what's out there. All the different options that are out there in each of these domains, like cybersecurity. What are the different ways that you can learn cybersecurity? What are you trying to do? What kind of skills are you trying to learn? And then here are the ways that you can learn those. Here are the courses you can take and so forth. Because you have to take out this idea of an expert is going to train you in your skill gaps out of the equation. Because the people who have that expertise don't have time to work for you. They make so much money actually working for the employers who need those skills, they're just not going to work for you.
Got it.
So you have no way of fulfilling that promise of how to train these people to fill their skill gaps. You have to do that with off-the-shelf training material. So then what is your value proposition? Then your value proposition perhaps is curation.
Yeah.
That's, maybe the value proposition is identifying what are the skill gaps towards whatever goal the person sets,
Mhm.
and then curating and advising on that. Okay, if this is what you're looking for, this is how you could fill that skill gap. Because I think if you try to do it manually, it's not going to work.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking the value was actually going to be a bit the expert guidance, but now that you say that they won't be available because they're making
They're
money,
not going to work for you.
they're not going to exactly.
It's not
So
gonna-
yeah, let me think about it. Yeah, so I at least at a start, I initially thought that for people to come in, they can definitely upload their resume, select, or we can propose a list of dream jobs, and they can identify the missing skills. That seems to be a low-hanging fruit, easy to show value. These are the skills you need. And then now I have to rethink about the expert thing, but probably
It's not that simple. The software that you need to be able to take at scale resumes, you probably are going to have to scrape the internet to find the jobs, scrape Indeed, scrape all the different job sites, bring those jobs in, and there is a significant amount of language processing that needs to happen to figure out, how does a job to a resume compare, and what are the skill gaps, etc. This is non-trivial technology. What is your background, Shazeeye?
Sure. I've done an MBA from UC Irvine, but I'm actually I've been tech more than 10 years. I'm a researcher. I'm a UX
Who's
researcher.
going to write this software?
Yeah, so that's my last question. My last thing was trying to find a co-founder. And then working with, I'm trying to find someone. Yes.
Okay, so there are two problems with this idea.
Yeah.
It is a tech-heavy idea, number one,
Okay.
and you're missing a technical co-founder.
Yes, I know.
And the second problem is that one of your assumptions that experts are going to be available to do this doesn't work. So I would say from a litmus test
Yeah.
basis, this is not really passing the litmus test. And I'll tell you something that you want to keep in mind.
Yeah.
As you go through the ideation process,
Yeah.
if you can eliminate the need to find a technical co-founder to get to revenue, it will give you a more deterministic path.
Okay.
So my philosophy on co-founders is you don't want to work with strangers. Either you know somebody whom you've worked with who's willing to pair up with you around some idea that you both resonate with, or you come up with an idea that you really like, that you go through the validation process, and you can use 1M1M to gather up the knowledge and get the help to do that validation process. But where the development can be outsourced on Upwork or something, so you manage the project, you manage the specs and everything, you do the validation, but you're not dependent on a co-founder to. If it's a very tech-heavy idea, which this one is, you cannot do it by yourself.
Okay.
And this kind of very tech-heavy ideas cannot be outsourced to a shop in India, for instance, or an Ukrainian partner that easily.
Okay.
There's too much. There's too much R&D. There's too much like hardcore technology development that needs to happen. And I don't recommend non-technical founders who are not going to do the coding themselves, who are not going to do the R&D and the programming themselves, to take on very, very tech-intensive ideas.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So you're going to need to switch gears on the ideation. As you do that, keep in mind what I just said, and then apply those constraints to your ideation process and see what ideas come up.
Got it. Thank you for that. Yeah. Next, we can. I try to sort of envision it. I put together the next 3 slides are on how it could look. So this is just a web front. The first part is you can learn new skills in 3 easy steps. Upload your resume. It says this is a list of your skills. You want to add to it.
I understand what you're trying to do, but I think
okay.
I've told you why this is not going to work.
Awesome.
And why it's going to be difficult for you to make this happen unless you can come up with a co-founder
Okay.
from your own network, from your working history or friends who's willing to pair up with you, which if you have that and if you can pull that off,
Yeah.
that's a very nice situation to go into venture with.
All right. Okay. Well, then there's nothing left. My last slide was you've told me about the gaps in my plan, and I was going to sort of pitch it to Y Combinator. Just want to let you know in the attendee. You
Don't
had
pitch to Y Combinator, right? This one, do not pitch it to Y Combinator. I'll tell you why.
Why?
Y Combinator is going to apply these same principles.
Yeah.
They look for, especially if you have a tech-heavy idea, they're going to want to see who's your tech co-founder.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a tech co-founder that they can wrap their arms around, they're not going to accept you. And here, I think the availability of the expert is a no-go situation.
Oh, got it.
Cybersecurity experts, AI experts are so much in demand right now. They're not going to come and do training for you.
All right. Okay, then that's it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Okay, Rod. Is Rod here? Rod is not here, Maureen. Yeah, Rod. Is Rod on the phone? There's somebody on the phone who's unidentified. Okay, I don't hear Rod. I'm going to skip through then. Okay, so Rod, whoever was on the phone has hung up. That means we are done with the pitches, right? Yes, okay. All right. Before I go into explaining how to use 1M for your purposes, I want to request you to refer 1M to your friends and family and coworkers, whoever is trying to do a venture, if they're serious about it. As you can see, I'm giving you pretty candid feedback. I'm not trying to sugarcoat anything. I'm not trying to tell you what you want to do. I'm not trying to tell you, oh yeah, great, great. You know, no matter what the gaps in the validation path is, I'm not going to give you a pat in the back. So if that's what you're looking for, if you're looking for a cheerleader, this is not your place. Here we do serious work. We address issues. If there are gaps, issues, we address those issues and try to fill those gaps and then do whatever else we do from there. So all our resources are available at 1mby1m.com. You can start with the free blog series. A lot of people learn from those. The Entrepreneur Journeys book series is available as a starting point also. There are a dozen case study based books. These roundtables happen fairly often, 2 to 4 times a month these days. We used to do every week, but I have had, after COVID, in COVID we did every week, and then after COVID my travel has gone up a bit, so sometimes I'm not available. The premium program is where you will get ongoing feedback, ongoing, you can call it coaching, mentoring, consulting, whatever it is, but it's interactive, just like what we are doing here, interactive discussions. There is a curriculum that is over 3,000 hours long. It's all case study based. So the who's who of the tech business have been part of the case study program, and the curriculum is entirely based on their input and their methodologies. So it's a very efficient way of learning from lots of experienced people, not just from me. I'm facilitating the process and synthesizing what we are learning from all these people, but you actually get to use their journeys, their case studies in your learning. Where we have contacts, we help you with the business development. We do help you with financing. We have a very large network of investors, and you have to be qualified to be introduced to those investors. So your business has to reach a certain level of presentability, fundability, presentability by our assessment for us to introduce you to investors. But we do work on introducing you to investors. In half an hour, you could get introduced to 30, 40, 50 investors. Depends on what your business is, how big the investor pool is for that particular business. Investors have also started specializing. Saas is a more generic field. There are a lot of investors investing in it. If you're doing prop tech, that's a slightly more narrow category. Ag tech is a more narrow category. So there's an investor entrepreneur fit aspect that we have to keep in mind. The self-assessment on our website is the set of due diligence questions that you're going to encounter when you get to investors. So definitely do that. It's free, available on the blog, on the website. Our bootstrapping course is less than 1 hour long. This is a free bootstrapping course, and I strongly recommend everybody, if you haven't started bootstrapping yet, and the two discussions we had today, Matthias representing Philippe, who was supposed to pitch, but Matthias did the pitch, but he did a very good job of the pitch, and Nick, both have bootstrapped quite a long way and have products in the market that are selling. This is the finest points to raise money. So both of you will have a much better time raising money than people who are trying to raise money without doing any bootstrapping. So Shazeeye, definitely do the bootstrapping course. We've also created, in the last 2 years, in the middle of COVID, we started doing this work. We have put a lot of our curriculum material on Udemy, and you can acquire them for very, very inexpensive rates. So, for $10, $15, you can acquire courses, and they're, again, case study based courses, and you learn different topics. Look at the roster of courses. There are about 70 some courses, and see where you have knowledge gaps. What knowledge gaps do you want to fill, and start doing these courses. The other thing that I think is important, and it's very helpful. Emo2, the free bootstrapping course is on the blog. It's pinned to the top of the blog. So if you go to the 1Mby1M.com website and go to the blog, the free bootstrapping course is available on top. Now, if you decide to go deeper into the bootstrapping methodology, we have released quite a lot of bootstrapping courses on Udemy. So I would strongly recommend you do that whole roster of maybe 5, 6 bootstrapping courses to really strengthen your bootstrapping knowledge. There's also how investors think. So if you're thinking of raising money, please also go through the How Investors Think courses. We have pre-seed, seed, post-seed, pre-series A, alternatives to unicorn chasing investors, etc. And all of these are available on Udemy. This would be good preparation. New courses, we've just released generative AI, strategy for doing capital efficient generative AI entrepreneurship. So, there's a big selection to look into. Every month, if you're looking for coupons, Udemy runs a lot of promotions. We have coupons available every month, and those coupons are published on our website, on the blog. We've published them on LinkedIn. So just do a search on the month coupon for Udemy, and you'll find the coupons. All our curriculum, everything. Udemy is a subset of the curriculum, but all our curriculum is available for subscription at 1Mby1M Basic, $99 a month. So all you can eat, entirely available to you. So go dig around on the website, what to expect from Basic, Premium, video FAQs, all of that is available. The curriculum is described in great depth. It is a case study based program, as I said. You get to, it's very inspiring to spend, if you're in this entrepreneurial journey, if you can create a bit of self-discipline such that you spend an hour a day with an entrepreneur who tells you how they've done it, you get two really important things. One is you get inspiration because each of them are doing it from nothing, right? From scratch. So this process, observing this process, listening to an entrepreneur talk about their journey of going from, nothing to millions of dollars in revenue, sometimes billions, is a very inspiring process. And you get the feeling that, oh, this person has done it, I can do it too. And they give you the how to put one foot before the other. So go find the courses and the modules that are closest to what you're trying to do and what are the knowledge gaps that you're trying to fill, and start disciplining yourself into the process of studying every day a bit, especially through these case studies, and really kind of training your brain in a very positive way and also learning from them. This is, I would say, it's very good practice. I've had the experience since 2006 when I started doing these case studies. I have had to interview thousands of entrepreneurs, and I can't tell you how much I have learned by just doing these interviews. It's amazingly inspiring. If you're coming here for investor introductions, please study the investor introduction policy, and then we do have a very, very comprehensive investor introduction process. Our philosophy, as I said, is bootstrap first, raise money later. Don't go to investors as beggars, go as kings. VCs like to come to the rescue of victory. Our methodology is lean, capital efficient, bootstrap startups. And Bootstrap First, Raise Money Later is a course on Udemy as well. So it's a very good starting point for your bootstrapping learning. That's it. We have 3 roundtables left in June, 15th, 22nd, 29th. You're very welcome to join. 15th is today, 22nd, 29th is left. And then we have all of June. So whenever, depending on how ready you are to pitch, if you're looking for a slot, just go to the website, go to the free public roundtable page, register, and Maureen will make sure that you have a slot to come talk to me. You get to talk to me at a free session only once. In the premium roundtables, you can come every week and talk to me every week. Irina is your contact if you have questions about the program after this show. Her email is irina@1Mby1M.com, and she'll be happy to talk to you on the phone, WhatsApp, Skype, whatever you want. Okay, questions, anybody?
I just want to say thank you so much for putting this together. This was awesome.
You're very welcome. Very, very welcome. We've been doing this for a very long time. Week after week after week.
It clearly works.
It works. It does work. Really, it works. Annie, you want to ask a question? Just unmute your line. Go ahead, Hani.
Annie here. I'm from Tokyo, Japan, and I've been your long-time fan, more than 5-7 years now.
Okay, and are you doing something now? Are you working on a company?
Yeah, so I bootstrapped. I just followed a lot of case studies from your thing. I bootstrapped, and I am at $1.5 to $2 million now.
Wow, congratulations. Well done.
And
what do you do? What's your business?
I do cloud automations, AWS cloud automations.
Okay.
And recently I've started generative AI.
Very good.
And I'm trying to build a platform on that. And I'll again be a premium member of yours. I was there for quite some time, and then again I dropped out.
Well,
But now I have something which I want to share, and I'm in Bay Area now, meeting prospects, customers, validating my idea.
great. Well, come back to the premium program and let's digging in.
Yeah.
Let's start
Thank
digging
you
in.
so much.
You know, this is a style of education that we have successfully been able to impart at scale. There are a lot of people who have just, studied the case studies for a long time and incorporated that learning into their venture. So it makes me feel so good when I hear stories like what you just shared, Hani, of using the case studies, learning from the program and the methodology, and then building up to significant revenue. It's wonderful for me to hear that you have gotten that far. So I'll be very much looking forward to working with you. Anybody else? Rod, you are back.
Yes, I apologize. I did not get the link until late.
Okay, let's go back to your slides. Just a second.
Good morning, everybody.
Yeah, go ahead. Get started. Is this the first slide?
No, it's still about
You have a
6
lot of
slides
slides.
back.
Go ahead.
There we go. All right. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to me, and especially at this last minute join. I appreciate it. I'm Rod Gosen, the CEO of Rogo Communications, and doing business as Rogo Fire, and we help fight forest fires with intelligence. So imagine this: you're out hiking in the middle of the woods, and all of a sudden you smell smoke. You take a look around. You ask yourself, "Where's the fire at? Which way do you go, and what do you do?" These are the exact same questions wildland firefighters ask themselves every single time they are deployed in a remote wilderness area, because they're literally out in the middle of nowhere. Next slide, please. 10 years ago, a terrible tragedy occurred. These 19 brave Granite Mountain hotshots all died in a fire outside of Prescott, Arizona. There's no easy way to say this. They were all burned alive. Next slide, please. A fundamental question is, how could this tragedy happen? How could these 19 men have died due to a lack of communications and situational awareness? When I asked my wildland firefighting brother the same question, my brother told me, "Rod, we're still using paper maps, compasses, and two-way radios to do our work with." My brother also told me that he is outside of cellular coverage more than 90% of the time he's deployed on the average fire. Next slide, please. So to combat this lack of communications, lack of situational awareness, and lack of ability to coordinate and communicate tactical efforts at the fire's edge, Rogo has come up with our communication solution. It is important to know, for this solution, it is important to know that there are two different types of firefighting teams. There are hand crews that are always on foot. And then there are task force leaders that are normally in vehicles. So the drop block in the upper left-hand corner is for the first crew type. That's for hand crews. Drop blocks act as the data portal for hand crews, so they can receive GPS location on a map of where they are and where everybody else is around them. They can receive weather information like wind speed, wind direction, where the fire is at, where they are at in relation to the fire, and where the fire is moving to and predicted to move to. And we can also, drop blocks also mark and track the GPS location of non-human resources, like fire engines, bulldozers, and water tenders. We can mark a high-value structure, like a house out in the middle of the woods. We can mark a makeshift water resource. We can mark a medevac rescue pickup spot. One of about 40 different things for wildland firefighters. On the lower left-hand corner, that device is for those task force leaders I was talking about. Task force leaders are normally in vehicles where power and weight aren't so much of a problem. So for them, we have that solution on the lower left, which provides 700 kilobit. It's a full IP solution. And that way, task force leaders operating remotely can get on their computer in their vehicle or their laptop or their tablet and run the same incident management platform as incident command. This allows for a common operational picture across the entire fire incident. Now, it's remote task force leaders can have the same, whatever incident management platform they use in Terra, ATAC, Rhodium Fire Response, we extend that capability out into the middle of nowhere. So now everybody's on the same picture. Everybody has the same picture as everybody else. Everybody knows where all crews are at, where the fire is, where the fire is headed, and who might be in possible danger. Next slide, please. This is our drop block device, and it transmits data over the Iridium network, which is a polar orbiting satellite network, low Earth orbiting satellite network that provides global coverage. So with that, our drop blocks can send and receive data anywhere on the planet for complete situational awareness in remote, austere, and cellular denied areas. The drop block marks and tracks the GPS location of human and non-human resources, like I mentioned. It can also send in local wind speed, wind direction, and very important, relative humidity information for firefighters. That helps to inform firefighters where the fire's moving to and how fast it's going to move to its next location. We can enable point-to-point communication so firefighters can align and coordinate their tactical efforts in the middle of nowhere. And we can power these devices off. I'm sorry, Samantha?
My name is Ramana, not Samantha. Just wanted to say that you have a lot of slides and we do not have the time to do all these slides at this level of detail. So
no problem.
I can do 3 more slides and
no problem.
So I understand what you're doing.
Let's skip that one.
You want to do
this?
this
SaaS company, not a hardware company. We'll skip that one, please.
No, this is what I want to do. I want to understand how you're going to, what is the business?
Okay, so Rogo is a SaaS company. We have a hardware component, but we're not a hardware company. We've had a lot of firsts. We're the first company to make parsing software that basically the first company to figure out how to send long data strings over Iridium satellite short burst data connection. And we are also the first company allowed into unique Amazon Web Services and Iridium partnership that allows us to send more data through Iridium's pipeline more quickly.
But you have to sell hardware also for this product to work, right?
Yes, we have the hardware and the software component, and we also sell the satellite data.
It's not a SaaS company. It is a hardware company. It's a subscription hardware company.
No, it's because we have a large SaaS component that I was going to get to that we provide.
But there is operationally, from an investor point of view, there's that's cost of goods sold. There's hardware that has to be moved around, shipped.
There's hardware, but most of our value is in our software. Like I said, the parsing software, the conversion of HTML data to JSON data.
I appreciate that, but operationally, there is a hardware component there. You can't get around that. You can't survive as a pure software company.
The predictive data analytics software that we're building to better predict fire behavior and movement, we have a hardware component, yes, but we're moving software. And so we bundle our hardware and our software and our satellite data airtime, and we sell that as a SaaS package.
You can say it however you want. I'm just telling you, investors will not consider this as a pure SaaS company because there's a hardware component to it. And the company doesn't work without that hardware component.
Yeah, it's not a 100% pure SaaS company, but we have a SaaS revenue model and a SaaS component of a large SaaS
subscription revenue model. Go
What's
ahead.
that?
It's a subscription revenue model.
Yes, which is sold as subscription SaaS.
All right, so let's go to wherever you want to go to next.
Okay, so our beachhead market is wildland firefighting, and wildland fires affect the entire world. But we also have a lot of other applications with FEMA, Border Patrol, the National Guard, and insurance applications. Next slide, please. I'm Rod Ghost, and I head this company, and we have a strong, lightweight, nimble team of very competent hardware and software engineers. Next slide, please. And advisors that are helping us bring the solution to fruition. Next slide, please. With any questions, I'd love to.
What is the status of the company? Do you have a product? Do you have customers? Where are you?
We have products, we have customers, we have functional devices out in the field. We have devices in Montana, Arizona, Utah,
Excellent.
Colorado, and California, Washington State. And we
And
just made a
what
large sale to the
what kind
Arizona
of
State Department of
MRR,
Forestry.
ARR do you have?
Sorry?
What kind of MRR, monthly recurring revenue, do you
Yeah. So we are an early stage company. We just made our first sale to the state of Arizona, and that sale came in February of this year. And so we're too early to give accurate MRR numbers, but we project for this year, we project that we're going to be in the 300,000 range for 2023, and that's going to we're projecting that to triple in 2024.
Okay. And how are you funded?
We have initial investment, we have an angel investor, and we also have grants, and I've bootstrapped a large part of this company to date.
Great. We just, before you came, we had a long discussion about bootstrapping and the benefits of bootstrapping. We've seen a number of successfully bootstrapped companies earlier in the program today, and it's always easier to raise money when you have bootstrapped and shown customer traction and so forth. So what is your question? What brings you here?
I just want to make connections, get our name out there a little bit, and find out how we might be able to leverage this network for making connections.
I suggest you listen to the recording of the program. Since you came late, I went over how to use the program for fundraising and for, just building a company in general.
That sounds great, Sharmana.
So the recording will be published after the program and it's be available on our blog, YouTube, etc. So you can look it up and catch up.
Okay, thank you so much, Sharmana.
You're welcome. All right, folks, that's it for today. I will hopefully see you next week, at least some of you, and I know some of you are pitching next week. We had a larger than what we could accommodate list of registrations. We will pick you up next week. Talk to you. Bye. Thank you.